I'm Erica Farber, Radio Hall of Fame class of 2021, and it is my pleasure to facilitate this conversation with two amazing individuals. First of all, talk about radio royalty. We are inducting today in the 2025 Hall of Fame, Shelley Playboy Stewart, who was the voice of Birmingham, Alabama, civil rights movement of the 60s, was a co-owner of an AM radio station. He co-founded an award-winning ad agency. And I'm not even going to say how young he is, but he continues to share his words of wisdom that have truly been remarkable to many of us, not only in the business, but in the communities in which you've served. So it is such an honor to be here with you.
I'm really honored to be here. Really, I really am.
Well, and also joining us, another Hall of Famer, Donnie Simpson. And from his early beginnings in Detroit to his move to radio in Washington, D.C., where he continued to captivate listeners for years. He's always been known for his sultry voice, his warm smile, and those piercing green eyes, as you can see. Not to mention him dominating the ratings in Washington, D.C. for so many years. So, Donnie, we're excited to have you here.
I'm thrilled to be here.
As I said, radio royalty. Shelley, what was it like when you got the phone call?
I was really surprised. I thought it was a joke. When I got the phone call, it was from this guy.
Right.
And I was so shocked, not because of, but it was pretending to be Donnie Simpson, I thought. And I said, you who? He said, Donnie. I said, Donnie who? I'm Donnie Simpson, Shelley. Hey, man. And he says, I have some news for you. I said, what is it? He said, you have really been inducted into the Radio Hall of Fame. And from that, my heart, boom, 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 boom. You know, because this guy, I was a fan of his. I did not know he was a fan of mine before I was a fan of his.
Right.
So to find this relationship for him, to me, I was honored. And by the way, I met him an unusual way. We were in Florida, and I had not met Donnie, and Donnie had not met me.
Right.
And someone said, that's Shelley the Playboy over there at this hotel. And he says, that guy Shelley the Playboy? It's like 7 years ago. And I looked and I recognized his face because television. And he came up. Shelley the Playboy, I listened to you when I was a kid. I listened to you as a kid. You were doing some things down there. I was surprised. I'm from Detroit, but my mom comes from Alabama. And so therefore, our relationship was very close, very close. He knew some things about me that I did not know he knew. He had listened to my program, and the things that I said back during that era
Right.
were not being said by everyone. The way things were at radio in the 60s
Right.
are quite different than they are now.
Yeah.
And Donnie happened to carry that message to Detroit.
Right.
What he was listening to when he was on the air in Detroit, Donnie somewhat carried that same message from the 60s throughout
Moved it forward.
Detroit.
So I have to ask Donnie, what was it like making the phone call
Oh.
to Shelley to tell him that he was inducted?
It's one of the highlights of my life. It really is. It's, and I tell everyone this, that as excited as I was when I got that call, if you multiply that by about 100,000, you might get to what I felt that day calling Shelley. Because I always feel like us is bigger than me. And Shelley was always about us. The stuff he did had such an impact. You can talk about whoever you want to talk about, from me to Tom or Howard. But if you talk about impact, this man helped change this country with the civil rights movement. With letting his audience know where the meetings were that night in code by playing certain songs and saying certain things. Because if it was public knowledge, it could be a problem.
Sure.
You know, with the KKK and the sheriff, who was sometimes one and the same. You know, just, you know, that kind of thing to me is just so powerful. So it was, I cried. I mean, I cried when we decided in committee that he was going in, and I cried when I called him.
I remember that because I was on that call
Yeah.
with you. So Shelley, how did this start? How did you actually get into radio?
I got into business. By the way, I'm a homeless kid. I came into the streets when I was 7 years of age. Didn't have a mom. My mom was killed by my dad. I became a homeless kid at 7, but I was raised in a different way. I ran away, and I became, in 1943, I was adopted somewhat by a family who happened to have been white. And I stayed in that condition in Alabama, 1943 to 1948. I was looking and listening to white folk and black folk. Well, they didn't call them black at that time. It had to be Negro or colored or something like that, see, or white. So I was not afraid of white folk or black folk. You understand? It was people to me.
Right, it was colorless.
Yeah, it became that. And first grade teacher, I love educators. My first grade teacher had told me, if you learn to read, if you get a good education, you can become anything that you want to be. That was before I became a homeless kid. But I remembered that. I still remember today. So as I grew up around 16 years of age, I had an opportunity to talk on a microphone. The radio station WEDR, doing a high school reporter, 1949. And I came on the air, but I was different than what the other guys were. They were talking, and this is WEDR.
Big
I'm
deep
Wiley E.
voice.
Daniels Jr. And so I get on the air. Hey, everybody. Hey, Shelley. And, you know, and I sound different. I was talking in a different way than everyone else. That was in high school. And I went into the military, came out, caused trouble there too. I was a troublemaker because I was not
You?
Yeah, hell yeah. I was a troublemaker. But I said it, I carried that through the airwaves. It was not about only entertainment, but education as well, bringing people together. I believe by bringing people together through communication is the key. That's why I'm so proud of the Radio Hall of Fame, what you're doing here now. It's to continue what I tried to do in 1949, and here it is in 2025. Because of this guy coming up and saying, there's a guy in Alabama who's been doing this so long. It was Donnie that realized it. I'm a mass communicator, not a class communicator. So I was not that. I was a mass communicator, not a class communicator.
Love that.
I was not communicating to a class of people, but to the masses. And that's what set me apart. And finally, America sees Shelley, the Playboy, Shelley Stewart, a Dr. Shelley Stewart. I'm all three, but same out of Alabama. I've been in every city that is in this country. By the way, I was never syndicated like Donnie and these guys. I had to drive my car and broadcast in Shreveport, Louisiana. I opened KOKA radio station in 1958, sorry. I opened WOKJ in Jackson, Mississippi. I opened KOKS in Columbus, Georgia. All of these stations were owned
And you would drive to all these places.
I was going to the rating periods because Shelley the Playboy come in and the rating would go up.
Wow.
Because I would bring people together. So that's how my name was in all of these markets. I ended up at KOK in St. Louis, Missouri. So I was out there, but I was never recognized as a disc jockey. I've never been a disc jockey. I was a mass communicator.
Right.
But I was never recognized as Tom Joyner's and the guys because of syndication. I was out there in the streets with the people.
Wow.
I just believe in bringing people together.
Love that. Donnie, what about you? What was your first entry into the business?
Well, my mother owned a record shop in Detroit, my little mom and pop joint, you know.
Okay,
And,
so records were those things that no.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I gotta explain what a record is. Like, maybe don't even know what a CD is. Yeah, but you know, I was people would always come to my mother's record shop and go, "God, you sound like a DJ, or you ought to be a DJ." And it was in one ear, out the other. I wanted to be a Baptist minister. That was my first ambition. And but somewhere along the line, George Clinton turned me out, and here I am. You know, but I was very fortunate to be in Detroit, which at that time was the 5th largest market in the country. To get my start there was amazing. I was 15 years old. I couldn't even do my whole show live because I worked 8 to midnight. The law stated I couldn't work past 10:30. So after school, I'd have to go home. Well, first of all, I'd go to the station after school, record my last hour and a half, go home, do my homework, have dinner, then go live from 8 to 10:30. So,
and that was pretty progressive back
yeah,
then.
yeah. But it was no question, it was what I wanted to do. There was a DJ who did his show from my mother's record shop one day. His name was Al Perkins.
Oh
You
my
know Al
God!
Perkins.
I've heard, yeah.
The Perk. And so when I went into his booth while he's doing the show, and I saw him sitting there with his headphones on. And, man, he's rocking to the music, and I was like, man,
That's what I want to do.
I can do that. That's what I want to do right there. It was no question. That's the day I fell in love with radio. And so to be here now in the Radio Hall of Fame is just, it's mind blowing to me. It's just, you know, how's that happen? You know, I just don't get it, but I'm thrilled. I'm happy.
This is important to me to hear him say that, how in the booth there with Al Perkins, there was a guy, get my name, used to come in at the radio station. I first saw him, he was at Tuskegee Institute. He was dancing with a group called the Commodores.
I think I know who that
I
is.
did too.
I was at WOKS in Columbus, Georgia. He was at Tuskegee, and the Commodores and a group called the Dew Points were playing at Benning, Georgia. And this guy was just dancing. A few years later, I see this guy come in the radio station. He sat down and said, "Look at me. I love you. I like what you're doing. I'm Tom." I said, "Tom," he said, "I danced with at Dew Points. I met you in Fort Benning." It was Tom Joyner who came into the radio station at that time, and it made me feel good when he became the Tom Joyner in the United States of America.
Yeah.
Yep.
It made me feel good when he told me that his mom came out of Alabama. We talked about his family, about his granddad, and the hard times that his grandparents came through. We talked about these things that we endured getting to where we are today, sitting here in the Radio Hall of Fame. This means a lot to us.
Yeah.
It means a lot to me to do this. Now, don't get me wrong. I was inducted in what they call the Black Radio Hall of Fame 25 years ago, Black.
Right.
But today, to be inducted into the Radio Hall of Fame in these United States of America means the world difference. I'm a living legend with Quincy Jones and the likes, 1993. But today, being inducted into the Radio Hall of Fame with this guy and his recommendations to the board or whatever,
Right.
I am the most honored individual in the world.
And deserving, and most deserving.
Very deserving.
Most deserving.
So a lot of students will be watching this at colleges and universities across the United States. And it's really important that we nurture the next generation of broadcasters. And as real legends, what advice do you have for the next generation who are thinking about broadcasting as a career?
Very difficult because of technology now.
Yeah.
Personalities do not exist as we were, this guys. Personalities is now mostly controlled by someone writing down, "Don't get off this," controlled. Back when he came along, he could play his records, choose the record he played. And now you're being controlled by someone else. They've removed that with personality from the industry. I would love to see radio go back to personalities. I don't know whether it will or not, but personality is the key. Communicating to the people. That's why the people such as Donnie were successful. They were communicators.
Right.
That's
Absolutely.
and I think that's what's happening. Now, whether it happens or not, I have no idea. But that's what it needs to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Donnie, what do you say?
Well, I mean, I love what Shelley's saying because it's, I learned in my first year in radio that we all get the same records, CDs, downloads, whatever you want to call it. We all get the same music. The only thing that makes it different is that personality.
Yes.
Presenting it, the
what's
presenter.
between the records?
What's
Yes.
between the records. That's the only thing that makes it different. So my advice is this, and it sounds very simple, and it is, but it takes time to get there. And that is to be yourself.
Yes.
I say it takes time because you come in emulating styles that you've heard that you think do good radio or do good television, and that's inevitable. But I remember I was in my 12th year one morning when I went, whoa, I'm not Teddy Richards, CKLW anymore. I'm not, this is Captain Roberts from WJR. All these different styles that I
So it
toyed
took you
with.
12 years to
Yep.
say, wait, I'm Donnie
I'm me.
Simpson and this is who I am.
And man, when you get to that, that's the sweet spot. I'm telling you, it's the sweet spot. And
Yes.
and it's where you want to live because I've always felt this. And this is the last thing I'll say about it because I've always felt that there were 1,000 people out there waiting to take my job.
Yes.
That 500 of them were just as good as I am. The other 500 are better. The only thing I can beat them all at is being me.
Yeah.
You can't beat me doing that. So that's what I do. I be me. So that's my quote. I be me.
That's why Donnie is Donnie, and that is where I think was set apart from others who went to be like masses. Shelley the Playboy, by the way. Here's how that came about. People say, how did you come with the Shelley the Playboy? 1954 was when my name Shelley the Playboy came about. I was just Shelley before then. But I would come to the radio station. Other jocks would come in, and they would, good evening, how are you? I would, hey, baby, what's going on, baby? How you doing, love? And one evening, I came to the station, and there were some girls out front, and those girls hadn't been white in the black neighborhood, Negro neighborhood at that time. The next week, about 25 or 30 girls who haven't been white, and some white boys were at the radio station. Another week, look, there were some black Negro girls and Negro boys. So the Negro boys and the Negro girls and the white girls, they started gathering. And the other jocks, they became afraid because in Birmingham, Alabama, these white folk and black folk were getting together at a radio station, 4th Avenue North.
Hanging out.
WEDR never happened before. And there's this guy coming. I get out of my car, and I had my shades on.
Shelley the Playboy.
I'm looking different.
I forget the name.
I had my hair processed.
Player.
I was laid to the side then. And I got out of my car, and these girls started calling, hey. And so one of the jocks says, man, that's a player. That's a player. And another one said, oh, that's a Playboy there. And so rather than introducing me as Shelley, the guy says, and here comes the Playboy. And that's what started. That's how that came about. Not that it's a player, but because of that, bringing people.
And you have been bringing people together your entire life.
Right.
Well, so unfortunately, our time is coming to a close here. Now, most of the people watching this and listening to this will not be at your induction tonight. So they're not going to hear you accept your award. Is there something that you can share with us that you're going to say tonight to the audience?
Yes. Today is the first day of the rest of your lives. Be yourself, as Donnie just said. You are somebody. Amen. You are somebody. And just be yourself. Don't try to be a Shelley or a Donnie. Be yourself. You are born, I promise you, be that you are. I promise you, will be okay.
Donnie, anything you want to add about the hall and why it's important?
Yeah, well, it's to recognize people like Shelley, and so many others. Well, Shelley was one of the original 13. Is that what it's called?
I'm the only one living.
I know, the only of first 13 black DJs in the country. And so to have him recognized is the only one who got to see this honor. There are others that are in the hall, but they all went in posthumously.
Right.
So that's part of the joy I felt that day when I called Shelley, was knowing that he would be the only one that got to actually see this, to have that walk on that stage. So, it's just important to recognize people like Shelley, and I'm just honored to be a part of it. I mean, to be in this group. Another inductee, I ran into on the elevator this morning, Alice Cooper. I was like, man, I love Alice Cooper. It was so cool.
This is awesome. What you're saying, Donnie, is awesome that here I am today. I'm the only living person of the original 13. Al Benson, who was my friend here in Chicago, one of the first guys in Chicago, a young lady that I hugged and loved. We were together in Atlanta, Georgia, a few weeks ago. We'll be here tonight. She'll be sworn in. Don't tell her.
Dee Dee.
Yeah, Dee Dee. To have a Dee Dee. But lots of it comes because this guy here, this guy's putting the old in the new. He's got an old dude, Shelley, Stewart, and then he got Dee Dee in the morning.
Right.
This guy here, I give a lot of credit for him having the nerve to do what he did at whatever board meetings you guys have to bring this country together as he has done.
I just want to say
It was an easy decision.
Yeah. And Erica's a part of that board, and there are a lot of people that, thank you for saying what you did. I will not take credit for it because you did it. Dee Dee did it. Alice Cooper did it.
Yeah.
No one gave you this. You earned it. You
God is
earned
good.
it. So that's, this is not because of my work, man. It's because of your work.
Well, on behalf of the Radio Hall of Fame, again, thank you both for joining us today. It is such a pleasure to sit, and God bless you both.
Thank you. God bless you, Erica. Thank you so much.
Bless you.
Thank you, my brother.
My brother.
Thank you.